In 1845, the British public poured virtually all over their disposable income into a revolutionary new technology. They bought up shares in over 1,000 different companies, funding the construction of nearly 10,000 miles of iron. It was a guaranteed path to immense multi generational wealth. Until it wasn't. Within a few short years, the bubble violently burst. Massive fortunes simply evaporated overnight. Why? Because in their absolute frenzy to own a piece of the future, these investors funded redundant routes, ignored basic economics, and ultimately built thousands of miles of tracks to nowhere. Look around you right now. Look at your social media feeds. Look at the thousands of startups launching every single week, promising to revolutionize your life with AI. We are doing the exact same thing right now. The 2026 White House Economic Report was just released, and it's making a staggering, almost chilling comparison. It officially likens the last few years of hyper aggressive AI investment to the 19th century railroad booms. We've laid down a massive, sprawling infrastructure of digital steel, but if you look closely at the data, a terrifying reality emerges. A massive percentage of these AI startups have no real destination, no defensible moat, and no valuable cargo to transport. Today we're going to break down the biggest myth in AI industry. We're going to expose why the heavily hyped intelligence gold rush is a trap and why the real generational wealth won't be held by the companies building the smartest AI models. The real wealth is quietly being cornered by the companies that control the data junctions. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where the actual money is flowing in the AI economy and why you need to completely rethink how you look at the future of technology. If you've spent any time in the startup world or watched any tech analysis over the last few years, you've heard this same tired cliche repeated ad nauseum. During a gold rush, don't dig for gold, sell the pickaxes. This historical anecdote refers to the California gold rush of 1849, where the men who actually got rich weren't the prospectors panning in the rivers, but merchants like Levi Strauss or Samuel Brennan, who sold them the jeans, the shovels, and the pans. In the context of our modern AI boom, conventional wisdom tells us that the large language models like GPT, Claude, and Gemini are the gold. Therefore, the thousands of AI wrapper startups, the prompt engineering agencies, and the specialized UI tools are the pickaxes. But this is a massive fundamental misunderstanding of the technology stack. The AI models are not the gold. Let me say that again because it's the most important concept of this video. The intelligence itself is not the precious commodity. Intelligence is becoming profoundly cheap, rapidly abundant, and entirely commoditized. Thanks to the explosive growth of high-powered open source models, the cost of generating 1,000 tokens of highly capable reasoning AI has plummeted to fractions of a cent. If intelligence is a commodity, then the companies building massive foundation models and the thousands of startups building thin wrappers on top of their APIs are not selling pickaxes. They are the ones blindly digging in the dirt. They are locked in a vicious, capital-intensive race to the bottom, constantly undercutting each other on price just to maintain market share. When you build a business whose entire value proposition relies on calling an external API to summarize a document or write an email, you have zero structural advantage. You are highly vulnerable to the platform simply updating its features and erasing your entire company overnight. You aren't selling the shovels. You are just renting someone else's bulldozer, and the lease is about to expire. This brings us to the stark reality outlined in the 2026 White House Economic Report. The report meticulously tracks the hundreds of billions of dollars in capital expenditure that tech giants and venture capitalists have poured into GPU clusters, massive data centers, and training runs over the last 3 years. The report draws a direct, unavoidable parallel to the railroad overexpansion of the 1800s. Back then, speculators spent exorbitant amounts of capital to lay down tracks. Laying track is incredibly expensive, just like buying tens of thousands of specialized AI microchips. And just like the railroad tycoons, today's tech giants are building an awe-inspiring, world-changing infrastructure. But here's the catch. The economic report highlights infrastructure alone does not generate a return on investment. The cargo does. Trillion parameter large language model is effectively a phenomenally powerful state-of-the-art locomotive. It is a miracle of modern engineering, but right now, for the mass majority of businesses and startups, that locomotive is pulling an empty boxcar. You can have the smartest, most capable AI in the world, capable of passing the bar exam and writing flawless code in seconds, but if that AI does not have real-time, secure, and structured access to your company's proprietary data, your customer records, your inventory levels, your historical sales trends, your internal communications, it's completely useless. It's a genius locked in an empty, windowless room. We spent billions laying down the tracks of raw intelligence, but we forgot to build the supply chains to actually load the freight. The tracks have been built, but they're leading straight into the desert. If the AI models are just interchangeable locomotives and the intelligence is a cheap commodity, then who actually wins? Who extracts the real compounding value from this technological revolution? Now, put on your analytical hats for just a second. In any network, the most valuable real estate is not the road, it's the intersection. The real wealth in the AI era belongs exclusively to the companies that own the data junctions. I'm talking about the massive enterprise platforms, Google BigQuery, Salesforce, Snowflake, Databricks, and Palantir. These are the modern day Grand Central stations. Think about how a massive corporation actually operates. Their most valuable asset isn't an algorithm, it is their proprietary data. It's the millions of rows of customer interactions living inside Salesforce. It's the petabytes of telemetry and behavioral analytics living inside BigQuery or Snowflake. This data is the ultimate defensible moat. It cannot be downloaded from the internet and it cannot be scraped by a web crawler. To make an AI model useful, you have to bring the intelligence to the data, not the other way around. This requires incredibly complex integrations, vector databases, and retrieval augmented generation pipelines that operate securely within a company's own firewalls. This is why the data junctions hold all the leverage. If you are Snowflake, you don't care if a customer uses a model from OpenAI, Anthropic, or an open source variant. You are model agnostic and you own the gravity. You hold the context. An AI model without context is just a parlor trick. An AI model deeply integrated into a BigQuery data warehouse, capable of instantly analyzing a decade of proprietary supply chain data to predict a hyperlocal inventory shortage, that's a $1 trillion paradigm shift. The companies that control these data junctions are quietly embedding modular, interchangeable AI agents directly into their infrastructure. They're becoming the toll booths for the entire AI economy. They aren't trying to build the smartest brain, they're simply making sure that no matter whose brain you use, it has to plug into their nervous system to function. And every time it does, they collect a fee. We're living through a massive misallocation of attention. The media, the venture capitalists, and the general public are utterly mesmerized by the magic tricks of the latest foundation models. We're obsessing over the shiny new locomotives, entirely blind to the fact that the rail yards are where the actual economy operates. The intelligence gold rush is a brilliant market campaign designed to make you pay for compute. But the railroad reality dictates that over the next 5 years, the thousands of disconnected AI wrapper startups will face a brutal extinction event. The models will get cheaper, the APIs will get faster, and the value of raw, isolated intelligence will trend towards zero. The ultimate winners of this decade will not be the prospectors panning for algorithmic gold. They'll be the architects who recognize that data is the only currency that matters, and who ruthlessly built the junctions to control its flow. Stop building isolated engines and start looking at the tracks. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Which data junction platform do you think is going to absolutely dominate in the next 5 years? Is that Salesforce, Snowflake, or a dark horse we haven't seen yet? Let me know what you think down below. I'll see you in the next one.